All right. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hey.
Today, I wanted to bring up the last show because I thought so. I rewatched it and I thought that some of the things that I said were really bad. Like it was an overall, I'm used to this happening because I remember with the Not Your Cousins podcast, I've done a podcast with my friends too, and you just can't control some elements. Sometimes you have a bad session and everything you say doesn't make sense. You don't eat one day, you have a low blood pressure and you're just going off, right? But I thought it was really bad. However, that video is popping off for some reason. Hit 100 views and and it's scary how fast it's going. I was looking at it, I was like, oh shit, that's not good. And well, I knew. So here's the thing. I knew it was going to be bad. And I knew that the reaction to it was probably going to be bad too. A lot of political stuff. And I said things really quickly. I didn't explain it. And again, you even said it yourself, for people who don't know, or even worse. And this is what happened. So the only person who commented, he commented I think 4 times. And I don't know why, but we can only see 3 on the channel page. I have it pulled up here. I'm going to pull up the comments here soon and we'll address them.
Let's discuss this.
Okay. I'm going to show my screen because this is oh man, it's so bad. Except the guy who posted, I have to say, so there's plenty of things that I would criticize about the last episode, but everything that he criticized were things that either makes no sense or I'd like to talk about a little bit more. Okay.
Yeah.
Address what he's right about and things that I just think okay, no, absolutely not. Okay. However, that video is bad and I'm really upset that it's popping off like this. We can talk about after if we maybe want to it didn't even show up on our channel page. Something weird is happening where I clicked on our channel page with my personal account, couldn't find the video. But when I logged in, I could see it.
I can see it on my personal account.
Okay. I for some reason couldn't see it under mine. But bad episode. I watched it back and I was like, oh, I really wish that I would have just stopped and explained things a little bit more because this guy, he's of course in the defense of Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro, which I am no. Mm-hmm. They're no. This guy, he took it the wrong way. Yes, my reasons for disliking them were they weren't in-depth explanations as to why I think they're actually damaging figures. I want to be clear about that. Another thing I didn't like is that I also feel like I went a little bit too moderate. I was trying to be timid, with being oh, I don't agree with everything.
Okay, hold on. So they're going to comment on this again because you're being vague. So let's specifically say what you did wrong and then pull up the specific points that they're talking about.
No, exactly. But I want to start off with this. Okay. I think a number of things that I didn't like about it.
Okay.
Number one, being too timid. I feel again, I was just kind of going just kind of hitting the surface level.
Okay.
Number two, being too being vague, it was extremely vague, fast points. And we even did get the guy mentions this, but we got a date wrong for and you know what? No, we're going to pull this up first.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about this. Okay. It is funny, but it's a bad episode. It's very bad. It's the worst one that we've.
Did I do something bad too?
No, it was mainly me. At least from my perspective, I think it's easier to criticize yourself when you're watching back an episode, but it was bad. It was very bad. And it gave this guy, the worst part is it gives this guy the excuse that it is a good reason because it's not a great episode. But however, the things that he said, and we'll pull them up right now. Okay, let's see. Got to share my screen here.
Share the screen.
Okay, we'll go to the channel dashboard here. Okay, here it is.
Okay, no, hold on. I want to share the personal stuff.
Oh, this shouldn't leak anything. There's no there's no password or anything in here. No one can see.
They just know that all of our videos are doing nothing. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could see it anyways. They just go to the dashboard and then they'd be like, oh, they all have no views. But this one, 102. in the
Okay.
last 23 hours. It's like,
Okay.
God damn it. That's that's just the worst. So only 2 comments show up publicly. Now
Yeah.
we did not remove anything. This happens with YouTube sometimes. We can only see 3 of the comments that he posted, even though it says 4.
It's all the same guy though, right?
It's all the same guy. Yeah, maybe the 4th one was somebody else, but we can't see that one. This has happened to me before. I've posted on like my personal channel, and sometimes it's like YouTube deletes like spam or stuff that they think's like a aggressive or harmful comment. They delete those automatically. This
Okay.
one for some reason doesn't show up publicly. I don't know why. These 2 do. So if you go to the video, you can see these 2. This one does not for some reason. I don't know why, but I would like to at least like, you know, like show his comment publicly, even
Okay.
though
So we were wrong about the timing of these 2 shootings.
yes.
It's
So
okay to be wrong sometimes.
it is. I don't think even like I wanted to say this, but like I'm personally not keeping track of every single shooting that happens in the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's psychopathic. I'm not like keeping a calendar of like, oh yeah, that shooting, quite a good one. You know, there's so many in the US. I'm not charting these things, all right? Not to be aggressive to this guy, but like, oh, like, you know, he says basically, wait, you think that the Columbine shooting was after the Sandy Hook shooting? Oh, makes sense that you would be misinformed or at least wrong.
Okay, but who is you? Do you think he's talking to you?
No, he's talking about me because like so I said that the Alex Jones case, right? It
Yeah.
involved I couldn't remember the name of the shooting. So you first said Columbine. And then I said no, that's not it. And then you said, oh, Sandy Hook. I can't remember what happened, but you said Columbine and I was like, no, I think that was like after it.
Okay, so you just mixed up the dates. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's move
did.
on to the next point. This is kind of a waste, honestly.
Okay, it is a waste, but
You were
I'm
giving this guy too much time anyway, so let's just move on.
no, true, but we really got to like, you know, we got to get into it because like, okay, the other things, this is what I more so want to talk about are these long comments.
Okay.
That one, I just thought it was funny that he was like, you know, he was like adamant about like, you need to know the date of the Columbine shooting. Like, you better like, yes, we were wrong, but still, like, okay. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about was the Sandy Hook shooting, because that's what the lawsuit was about, you know, the Alex Jones case. So
Okay.
first, let's start off with this comment. I'm going to read it out.
The lawsuit which Alex Jones lost, and then he filed for bankruptcy, correct?
Yes, that exact one. Yeah. And this guy, it's interesting because, well, we'll get into it. Okay. So LOL, your ideas on free speech are terrible. You don't even know the legal reasoning they used to go after Alex Jones. You also probably aren't aware that the judge simply decided he was guilty and the trial was formally, what is this? And the trial was a formality of just assessing the punishment. There's a lot wrong with that trial. Alex being obviously problematic himself, but the judge had no legal precedent for what they did. Also, the terms of the trial should have made anyone worry. The judge said he could not deny guilt if he speaks. Like what? Similarly, he wasn't really allowed to admit it either, but the judge kept allowing questioning that would address that aspect. It was a show trial, and Alex's lawyer did a good job of exposing that. Okay, I want to pause here because he says he did a good job at exposing that. His lawyers were the most nutcase people on the planet. His lawyer sent the whole record of Alex Jones' text messages to the prosecutor. That is the worst defense lawyer move ever. And I can't think of anything more stupid than somebody doing that. So for you to say, well, actually, the judge is actually, you know, like, you're pretty good. No, I don't think like they didn't do anything. They didn't do any favors for him. They sent his whole phone records and they were able to dig up anything that they wanted. So I want to point out that first. And secondly, so the ideas on freedom of speech. I don't know if this guy's aware, but you can't like run into a theater and shout fire, fire. That's actually illegal. There are limits on freedom of speech. It's not even really like freedom of speech. There are like restrictions on speech. There's things that you can't do. So I wanted to point out that there was plenty wrong with the video, but I think this guy, like, I don't know, like there's multiple moments where like I'd stop and I'd be like, no, that's not good. And by the way, yes, I did choose my name as like a little like, hey, I'm right, So
joke. Yeah. So definitely, I don't know all the details of the trial. You probably aren't aware the judge simply decided he was guilty and the trial is a formality of just assessing the punishment. That's an opinion. Okay. What facts is this guy saying? Obviously problematic himself. Okay, that's still an opinion, but universally accepted. Judge, no legal precedent. I mean, this is a unique case. You know, school shootings and people
it was
going to
basically more of it
people's
was based
houses.
on the harassment that
Yeah,
like,
harassment. So inciting violence, harassment. Yeah, I guess there is precedence for that.
and he brings up then the Amber Heard trial, which is kind of strange. Like he doesn't even say really what like parallels like he wanted to make between them. He just said it was a lot like the Amber Heard trials, but instead of objections all day for wording, they literally had to remove the jury multiple times to simply discuss the terms of the trial through the lens of the current question the prosecutor wanted to ask. So the thing with that is like, he doesn't even make the parallel. He doesn't even say what it is. I can't think of what parallel there is between those two court cases, but he somehow like, vaguely tries to state that there is. It doesn't make any sense.
Um,
But instead of objections all day and removing the jury multiple times are like, what does that mean? The trial like took a long time. There were lots of interruptions. I'll agree with him there. Like, sure, there was, but what is this like? What does that point lead to? Is my question. What is this? Where is that being directed?
yeah. Well, it's
It being
kind
a
of
show trial, like a show trial in.
okay. Alex Jones is a crazy person, and he basically the American public or whoever's prosecuting him decided, hey man, like you can say whatever you want. Free speech is okay. Now you're starting to get people to, fuck up other people's lives, and that's not cool. This guy, all he's saying is maybe, he's just talking about terms of the Alex Jones trial, which you and I really didn't even discuss. And all he said was, your ideas of free speech are terrible. And he doesn't give any examples of what you said that were terrible. All he says is, here's this Alex Jones trial, and that's crazy. So I don't even know what he's referring to. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
That's what I'm trying to piece together. That's what I don't understand. I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. Like he's basically saying that like the trial, like, is he trying to argue that he thought that Alex Jones should have won due to the First Amendment? Like, I don't know what he's trying to say. Like he does admit that like, oh, some of the stuff that he did was ridiculous. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable thing to say anyways, but I don't quite understand what he's trying to get to here. That's what I'm trying to put together. Like, what is this?
Okay. Yeah, so he's just not good at explaining what his ideas are. Okay, well, let's move on to the bottom one.
And then, well, no, I want to keep going because, like, anyway, this guy is just trying to reinvent slavery as he discovers the nuance of lobbying. You just jumped. Like, we talked about lobbying at the end. You're jumping script way far. I'm not saying it was a good explanation. No, it was a bad episode. All right. It was. You can say it was a bad episode. You can go through those things, but what are you doing just jumping to one thing to the other? It seems like he was pissed. He was just angry that I personally think that Alex Jones was rightfully fined money and that he should have paid money. He should pay money to those families. That's personally what I think. But to just go on like this weird, vague, like piecing together, like, what is this guy doing? And then he says, he seems like he just read Elections for Dummies. I don't think that he is aware that we have a patchwork of 50 different systems. Either way, this guy just seems ridiculous. Okay. What is the lead up to this? That's my question. What is the lead up?
Yeah. Hey, Aaron or whoever else is going to comment on these, give us some timestamps so we know what you're talking about. And I don't know. It's just a YouTube comment, but I mean, I don't think there was any evidence that you were trying to reinvent slavery. That's that I will fully reject that argument. Um, the Amber Heard trials. I mean, I guess it was suing for defamation, right? So like, um,
It's a completely different case too. It's
the
a
same,
completely
same
different,
kind
like,
of. I can see the connection. It's the same kind of thing because suing for defamation is speech that negatively affects somebody to a certain degree. And I guess people in Hollywood or famous people or, there's a lot of lawsuits for defamation that are won. So maybe he thinks we shouldn't have any of that kind of thing. And so the Alex Jones things falls in the same category. I could see that.
that's the thing. I don't know what point he's trying to make. Like, both cases involve free speech, but that's pretty much that's pretty much it. That's all there is. Like, there's not much, like, he hasn't brought any substance up, to like make
Okay,
these connections.
we'll
Is
challenge
the thing.
we'll challenge him to bring up substance. Clearly, he doesn't have he didn't do a second draft of this. Okay, that's
No,
obvious.
and to be fair, the video is just as bad as his comment. I want to make that clear right now. The video
Okay.
is just as bad as the
We'll
comment
get
that he made.
we'll get into that, and then we'll see if I agree.
Okay. That's at least what I think. I
Okay.
think, like, it's a rightful comment only in that it's left on a video that is equal in quality. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. To be continued on that.
Okay. Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, it's longer.
It
All
is.
right.
It's very long, and he says it at the end too. He also includes a little bit, but we'll say so. He says, I have done plenty of my own research, as I can see that you have not. Your main concern about researching Ben Shapiro is that you will start to agree with the things that he says. Now, let me pause there, because actually, yes, I actually am concerned for people like this guy who's like, oh, Ben Shapiro's really good. Oh my God. And I'll get into it more. Okay. But so then he says, I think you are the kind of person on the left that Tim Pool, so now he's going back to Tim Pool, talks off about often. And yes, he is okay with you talking about him being bald under his beanie, as if that wasn't a joke. It's like, okay, oh wow, I'm glad that, like, he's actually okay. Well, thanks for letting me know that he's okay. I mean, I would say maybe I don't know how he knows. Maybe he heard it on an episode. I mean, he's definitely a Tim Pool. I think probably it seems like he watches him to some degree.
Okay.
But
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm just like wondering, like,
Maybe it's
can
as
he
a
just
free
take the
speech
beanie off?
as a free speech advocate, he's probably just assuming that Tim Pool doesn't care what you say about him. Okay.
Okay. Like, you either have to be playing an act or you need to keep doing this show as you let us into the mindset of someone informed of these people on the right through wait. Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Okay.
Let us into the mindset of someone informed. No. I think he tried to say misinformed of these people on the right. So I think what he's trying to say,
he's like, yeah, keep doing this so that we know like what these idiots are thinking, basically.
I think so. I think that's what he's trying to say. He's like, he's like, it's like an experiment for him. He's like, oh, I wonder what, like, these leftists, these communists think about people on the right. So he's kind of has this like weird setup. But anyways,
it's interesting. Like, the first half of that sentence is saying like, oh, like, you guys must like just be like intentionally saying just wild shit. He thinks we're doing like what Alex Jones would do, but against like Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro. Because he's so certain that that this shit that you're saying is crazy.
I mean, honestly, Aaron, we could be.
Yeah, dude. Here, hold on. You read that. I'm just gonna get. I need to get a charger.
Okay. So he says these people on the right. And then he says, through the shows that you watch, which paint them in a specific light. Okay. So basically saying that, like, oh, we must just like, be leftists who just watch leftist, stuff. So therefore we think of these people in a certain light. Then he says, Tim Pool, especially because he is actually a liberal, that is wrong. That is just, I don't know where he thinks that Tim Pool is a liberal. Like, has he watched the Tim Pool show? Like, does he even know? Okay, I'm gonna finish this first, or at least used to lean that way more. But they have gone much too far left for him to be anything but likely in the center nowadays. Okay, I've heard this take a lot about like people claiming to be like, oh, I'm a centrist now because the left has just gone too far. It's like, I talked about this last episode, and I do stand by it. The Democrats don't do anything. They're not even a leftist party. All right. Like if you think that the Democrats like care about like leftist policy and care about like, I don't know what too far left means. It's probably different to different individuals. Like, but the Democrats don't do anything. They basically are the do nothing party. So if you want to like centrist it up, like they're probably just right for you. Like Tim Pool basically is what the he's more conservative leaning. I think more than anything. I would even disagree to call him a centrist because most of his takes lean towards the right side of the spectrum. They just do. Like I don't know if this guy like what this guy thinks like liberal means, but I extremely disagree with that statement that Tim Pool is a centrist individual. In fact, I think that like I would say that even like to a point, I'm somewhat anti-centrist in some aspects, I would say, because centrist can mean many different things, it can mean many different things.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first half of the sentence.
That is okay. I'll try to read more before I pause.
Okay.
So yeah, liberal, but they have gone much too far for him to be anything but likely in the center nowadays. Okay.
Next
He
sentence.
already knows how you guys think and realize that you will retreat into group identity before ever considering the possible veracity of a claim.
So
Veracity of a claim. Is it,
he's basically saying that you stupid liberals don't even have an opinion. And if you hear any like clear argument from somebody like Tim Pool or Ben Shapiro, like you're not even going to entertain it because, you're just sticking with your buddies and you don't actually like listen to ideas.
Yeah, he basically is saying that. He's basically saying that like if I hear somebody say like we should just we should make everyone they should be mandated to be married. Everyone just gets mandated into being in a family and having kids. That I should like that. That I should just accept. I'm not entertaining this brilliant idea that Ben Shapiro has. The brilliant idea that like we should only mandate by the government just families that have kids. Otherwise, it's not a marriage. Not a marriage. Nope.
Okay, hold on.
I should entertain that idea, and I'm being extreme, but
hold on, dude.
If you
are you on gallery mode like for the Zoom thing? Can you see me and you on the right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think your screen it went off for a little bit in the beginning, but it's back on now.
Tell me when that happens next time.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. Retreating to group identity. Okay. Mental gymnastics justifying why you are right, even if it does turn out to be true. Okay, that's just about he didn't proofread again here.
You will do mental gymnastics justifying why you are right, even if it does not turn out to be true. I think he's saying that like he thinks that I mean, this is a classic like calling point that like, I can tell that he's a Ben Shapiro watcher. I can 100% tell because this is the same exact Ben Shapiro line where he's like, the liberals, they do these gymnastics moves to try and undo the facts and logic that I'm presenting to the community. It's the classic, like, okay, so this guy took a video that was bad, and basically it was bad. It was a bad video. I regret that video was that way. However, it's basically saying that like somehow we're so illogical. We're doing gymnastics and trying to weave around a fake narrative and turn it into something that's true or something that sounds good. which the video didn't even sound good. I don't know if like he thinks that like that's what like weaving around the truth and trying to bend it into like some kind of like, you know, really professional and good looking
I'm
argument
interested.
is.
I'm interested to getting into what you didn't like about the video. I mean, yeah, I mean, what I said during the video was that I just thought that you're being unclear, not that you were saying anything bad.
I don't think I was saying anything bad. I think the way that I explained it was really just like simplified down. And in the beginning, I was just like taking it kind of as a joke. Like, you know, with the Tim Pool, what's under his hat thing. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I mean, through most of the conversation, I feel like I didn't take it seriously enough. And I did simplify things. I just kind of like it's almost like just ranting about stuff without like, you know, having any
yeah, but I mean,
actual in-depth explanation.
well,
Is my
now you
problem.
know 900 or over 100 people might see you talking, and so now you might think about that. And I was kind of that's kind of why I brought that up. But hey,
And they're
if you
Tim
need-
Pool fans is the worst part because Tim Pool is in the title. So it's
Yeah.
Tim Pool cosplay. You know, these guys were looking for a nice thick Tim Pool cosplay. They're
Yeah,
hoping I'd
we'll have
come
to
out
get
with
a
like, you know, the beanie and I'd like do a little shake as I'm coming out. You know, they were looking for that. They're
yeah.
looking for that
You
Tim
gotta
Gussy.
get
All
a
right.
get a good clickbait title for this next one. For this episode coming out.
Maybe I'll make it really extreme. Tim Pool bad. Just Tim Pool bad.
No, well, you can say like Tim Pool fan threatens us or some shit like that. I don't know. That he'll probably make a bad comment about that. But the third sentence, you know, he doesn't care about the hat. It's not a big deal. It's more about you just basically saying a whole pile of nothing.
I love that part.
Basically what it's
That's my
gonna be.
favorite. That's my favorite part where he's like, actually, Tim Pool doesn't care that he's bald under the hat. You guys may have been right about him being bald, but he doesn't have a creature up there under
Okay.
his hat.
The voice, dude, you can't do that.
I'm sorry. I can't
Okay.
help it. I can't
You
help it.
can't do
Okay.
it.
Like,
All right.
okay.
He already
Okay.
knows you guys think and realize you were G, blah, blah, blah. Okay. He needs to learn how to do paragraphs or something, right? Because he's
Yeah,
like,
I'm getting lost here.
okay, he's like, Tim Pool is like this, you liberals are like this. And then he's like, all right, I'm a libertarian. Let me tell you about my stance on abortion.
Oh, damn it. The 10-minute mark came up.
Okay, that's all good. So he's coming from a critique of us, as he's calling us on the left, and then now he's going in and he's saying, okay, I'm like this. Look, I'm this is my stance on abortion. So I'm curious to see what he says here.
Okay. So we'll start from let's see. I want to make sure we get his full thing, and I want to be fair to the guy, right? I may be poking fun at him a little bit. I might be, but I want to let his comments be heard. All right. I feel bad that only 2 of them made it onto the video. I don't know what YouTube is doing, but I want him to be heard. All right.
Okay, we
But-
want to be heard, and I also, can I just say this? The first comment was 11 hours ago, right? This long one. And then he already posted it. It was kind of jumbled. Then he's like, oh shit, he realized, oh, we had some misinformation. 2 hours later, he was still thinking about it. And he came back 9 hours ago and he posted about it.
Yeah.
And you got to think about this. I don't know where in the country he is, but 9 hours ago might have been in the AM.
Oh, you know,
So this
no,
guy,
I don't think it was. Actually, I think that was like around our time, at least. That would be 12 p.m. today.
yeah, 12 p.m. Just, you know,
Yeah.
during the day though, you know, just in the middle of the day. This guy's really, he's really heated about this. Anyway, it's where the three dots are. ... Me personally.
Let's see. So me personally. Oh yeah. Oh wait, no, we missed a little bit up here. You will okay. And then whenever you move the goalpost, I would examine why you are doing it.
Okay,
Me-
give an example.
That's what I'm wondering. Us moving the goalpost.
Timestamp.
Exactly. No, I did watch through the video. Before when it right after it was posted, I disliked it, right? And then I saw these comments and I was like, of course.
You watched
is-
it before the comments and the views too. I watched it before all the views.
I did too. No, I gave it a, because I remembered that episode. I remembered I was like, even after. I had an unpleasant feeling. You know, I had a feeling where I was like, this is going to be bad. You know, I was like, this was not a good one.
Oh man. Yeah. Hey, and it's funny because in the video description, it has a link to Not Your Cousin's podcast. Okay. And I'm looking at the banner up atop for Not Your Cousin's podcast. It's just great. So any listeners, go ahead and hit that up.
Yeah, I think that one, you know, last episode wasn't very like, we do a lot of bits on this show, but
Yeah, that's okay.
last episode again, it wasn't very bit
I think
centric.
I think it was fine just because you get some comments, dude. Whatever. All right. Yeah,
True,
move
true.
goalposts, whatever. Okay, he's a libertarian, he says.
Okay, so me personally, I find myself to be a libertarian. I believe. Okay, questioning it.
Bad grammar. All right.
That too. How is this? I will tell you my stance on abortion and how it evolved.
Okay.
At first, I was raised by a single mother. So essentially, I grew up just assuming it was all a woman's choice, which is basically where I eventually landed, but with major caveats. This
Okay.
was because I was concerned with finding the line where life began and say, here, oh, and say again, begin to say, here is the cutoff point. Well, long story short, Ben Shapiro was able to change my mind because drawing a line is very arbitrary. Because if it is by time, wait, what? Because if it is by time, then the unborn child is at a different state of its evolution. And if we go by said evolution state, then it would be varying times wildly.
Okay.
What?
This is a run-on
What?
sentence. Okay, but here we go. He's saying he's trying to find the line for the cutoff point. You know, where does life start? There's a law about it, but it's up for debate, right?
I get what he was trying to do, but like reading this is so painful. Like
Hey,
at times I think I'm messing up.
no, well, maybe
But-
you are, but here's the deal. He's coming
Wait,
in.
I want to read that again. And if
Long
we
story
go
short-
by said evolution state, then it would be varying times wildly.
Yeah, he's saying like in different cases, people grow at different rates, and so that it wouldn't necessarily be uh a standard amount of time for each individual.
If it is by time, oh, he's saying length of time. If it is by time, then the unborn child is at a different state of its evolution. If we go by said evolution state, then it would be by varying times wildly. Okay, that just needs to be reworded a little bit differently. Varying times wildly.
Yeah, no, we got
by
it.
varying times.
Okay.
Amounts of time is what he means. Amounts of time by varying amounts of time.
Yeah. Amounts.
Okay.
So okay. So it seemed.
So it seemed reasonable to me to essentially say you should have your mind made up by specific time. By specific time. This dude, this is like no.
Topic of abortion. Okay, hold on.
Stop, dude. This guy.
So it seems reasonable to
I
say
can't
that
even read it.
you should have your mind made up by specific time, or else it is too late. There is that possibility of life which I for whatever reason give super rights to. This is his belief in the past. He thought it was just based on time before, but he can see now that there's different levels of evolution.
I just can't. This is just okay. That did not last very long, obviously, since I kept looking into the topic of abortion. It was then I realized I had the wrong argument the entire time. Around then is when I realized it is about the mother's right to bodily autonomy.
Okay,
I
goalposts
agree.
are moving here. Just by the way,
True. He's running on a bit like with this. He's like, and then I came to this, and then I came to this, and then I came to this.
Okay,
and then
but
he's back.
But he made the comment earlier. You just move the goalposts, and what he's saying he's doing here. He thought this for a long time, but he did more research, and then he realized he had the wrong argument the whole time. So it wasn't that he had irrational thinking. It was that he was asking the wrong question. So he's justifying what he thought before. And I'm just saying that's hypocritical, and that's okay. Humans do that. They do that daily, but just there's some evidence right there that he did that. Okay.
Then he's saying he came back to the other realization about a mother's right to bodily autonomy. That's exactly what I was saying. I just agreed with Ben Shapiro on abortion because he thinks that women shouldn't have the right to have an abortion.
Okay.
So
Okay.
wait, I'm confused. What's happening here? He
Let's get through
watched
the
Ben
rest.
Shapiro.
Let's get through the rest of it because
Okay, she has the right to decide to deny access to her body at any time, and this includes possible children inside of her. I feel the law should be the mother has the right at any time to request the baby be removed from her body. If the baby can live on its own outside of the body, then cool. We can do a C-section and put it on life support until it grows up. I suggest we get better at that instead of trying to legislate the problem away. Also, by educating
horrible
away,
idea.
I know.
Horrible idea.
So here's the problem. This like hurt my brain. Like I read through this before. This like hurt my brain because he agrees. He's like, yes. It's like, yes, I'm pro-choice too. But how did you come to that conclusion? By watching fucking Ben Shapiro. How did Ben Shapiro teach you that? Do you know what Ben Shapiro wants? Ben Shapiro doesn't want any abortions, dude. He wants people to live exactly how he wants them to live. Ben Shapiro has changed his opinion too. If you talk about wishy-washy, like I wanted to mention this as well. So Ben Shapiro used to say, for like example, gay marriage. He used to say, "Well, I
Okay, dude. Okay,
my religion."
hold
Okay.
that thought because we're just gonna switch over to the Zoom call so we can keep going. And we're
All right.
back.
We're back. So I just wanted to say to finish up that point. So Ben Shapiro is one of the most hypocritical people, like figures, at least. And I can't say the most, but let me say this. If he wants to talk about somebody who's like hypocritical or moving the goalpost and constantly changing, Ben Shapiro, let's go back to 2016. All right. His takes on gay marriage. Basically what he thought was that, okay, I'm fine with gay people getting married, except it's against my religion. So I disagree with it. There's like a conservative, like talk show host who got married back then. He was gay. And he said, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like policy issues only. And he like basically had this like kind of wishy-washy take on it. And he said he didn't want people to think that he was a theocratic fascist, basically. But now let's fast forward all the way 2019. Now it's 2022. He started giving takes where he would say he thought that it shouldn't actually be recognized by the government. So basically what he thought is that they should not be recognized as a married couple. He didn't want that. If a gay couple was like recognized by the state as being married, no, Ben's not in on that. He's basically saying the crazy thing is it's like, why should it matter, right? Like for me, I think like why do I care what somebody else is gonna do? You know, if it does not involve me, like why should I care? Like, you know, people should do what they want. If they want to marry somebody, go ahead and do it. You know, his same stance. It's crazy because he claims to be the standing up for people's rights and he wants to live in a free society. But the irony below the surface with Ben Shapiro is that he wants to tell other people what they can and can't do.
Okay,
Basically,
that's cool. So we haven't finished this comment here. So here's the deal.
True.
Long story short, Ben Shapiro was able to change my mind because drawing the line is very arbitrary. So he started out, he was like, okay, women just get to choose, right? Ben Shapiro called into question this thing, right? He's like, okay, there's a lot more to it. But then ultimately he's saying, if the woman wants it out, so he thought about it more. He doesn't fully agree that there should be no abortion at conception like Ben Shapiro thinks. But then later on, he just says, I feel the law should be that a mother removed body at any time. Okay, so he's even saying if they're 6 months pregnant, which is against the law to have an abortion, they're going to force the baby to come out of this woman. And then they're going to put the baby on life support.
No woman's going to want that. The whole purpose of abortion is that it's not as invasive of a procedure as an actual pregnancy would be.
Yeah.
Like, I think this guy fails to recognize, that at that point, of course, she's going to have the kid. She can't anymore get the abortion. The whole point of the abortion is that it's not as invasive. Is you don't actually have to have the baby. You don't have to keep it in you until pregnancy comes along. this comment, like I literally was breaking my brain as I was reading it. And I was like, yes, I get it. It's a bad video. It was not a great explanation. I rushed through so many points. It was bad. It was terrible. I get that. But this, it's no excuse for this. It's no excuse for I'm upset for what it did to my brain reading this.
Okay, so
I feel like this guy, like, it just the brain rot. I can't, like, I thought my brain was falling out of my ears.
Okay, Aaron, good. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's just playing a character too. He said blah blah blah. If a baby can live on its own outside the body, then cool. We can do a C-section and put it on life support until it grows up. Okay, sorry. I
can't do this.
Hold on. I suggest.
Why?
So, I don't know why he would suggest that, but hold on. I suggest we get better at that instead of trying to legislate the problem away. So now he's saying let's completely avoid, you know, the pro-life, pro-choice argument, and let's just get rid of it another way.
Just not talk about it.
Given extra resources for schooling and drop in performance and efficacy. So he's basically saying tell people all the problems so less people get pregnant without wanting to. Sure, I'm all for that. I want people to be pregnant that want to be pregnant. It does not make sense, so we need to improve upon what we already know works. Well, we don't know what works yet. Yeah, and then change the subject again. I think changing the curriculum of a K-8 base to incorporate critical thinking and problem solving approach in a strong course in fact checking and citing sources.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a little. But that's like a no-brainer though. Like that's like we all want that.
Okay, but is this related to the pro-choice, pro-life argument at all?
That's what I'm wondering.
Saying we don't want any more of these liberal cucks, so we have to make people think on their own. That's cool, but put that in the other comment, or put that next to the Tim Pool shit or something else, man. I mean, you can't just be flopping around like this.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering, like, so anything, like, the one thing that he mentions that we got wrong was the date, which is true. We got the dates of the shootings wrong.
Okay,
right?
You did. And I think all the comments are for you, but he's, again, not clear because he just says your ideas on free speech are terrible.
That's what I'm wondering. So he has one instance that I got a fact wrong.
Yeah.
One thing he didn't, like, I'm wondering why he didn't talk about this, because this is something that so my reasons for disliking Ben Shapiro, I did list 3 main points, which I still stand by those. He is absolutely a political grifter. I do, like, there's no way that you can possibly, like, there's plenty of grifters, and you could say, so what? Like, a proper response could be like, so what? Plenty of people are grifters. But Ben Shapiro specifically grifts so that it follows exactly what he thinks the party is leaning towards. And not to mention, he didn't have his current opinion on gay marriage wasn't implemented until the Roe v. Wade stuff started coming out, and he could use it as kind of a fuel to the fire, if you will. You know, like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're not taking away your rights. They're not taking away your rights. It's a classic, just like, way to spar on on cultural issues, to kind of avoid the topic of even, like, economic inequality, other struggles that people agree on. People agree on a lot more than we all think. But the classic move that people like Ben Shapiro do is they try to create a rift in social issues to make us all bicker amongst one another, on things that, like, already were previously pretty much accepted. Gay marriage. That's, we live in the modern era. I haven't heard many people who are like, no, you can't get married. Or I haven't heard many people say, like, oh no, your abortion rights should be taken away. A lot of conservatives, funny enough, what they say when that issue comes up is that, I don't know, leave it up to the states. They say, I don't care if somebody has an abortion, leave it up to the states. Well, then you have Kentucky that bans abortions, and then you have a a teenage girl who almost dies because she can't get an abortion, because there was no line drawn in the sand when they drafted this legislation to say, okay, can we even proceed with an abortion if it's like endangering the mother's body? Like that wasn't even discussed, because it was just such a cultural rift. They wanted to rush stuff like that through and push it right to the fold. They didn't even care what happened. I mean, it's psychopathy. And this guy, yes, I think he's agreeing. I think he's saying like, yes, like the mother should decide, which I agree. She should. It's her body and her choice. But I don't know how this guy is like bringing it back to Ben Shapiro. That's what was so maddening to me. It's like,
he's just saying that
what?
I think what he ultimately is saying is, you don't like listening to Ben Shapiro at all because you think he's a mind virus. And he's saying, I listened to Ben Shapiro and he opened my mind to think about things differently, although I ultimately disagree with him. And I think that's ultimately what he's saying. If I'm really, if I'm really pulling all the pieces together, that's what I think he's saying.
If he is saying that, okay. I don't like, I will watch, like, again, there's a reason why I know about some of these figures. It's fun to watch them. I must admit, like, it's almost like a brain rot. Like, I'm sure, like, I've seen many other political commentators, they watch it too. It's content. It's basically like, that's how, like, a lot of like political shows work now. It's just like you watch these things and then you like, people pick them apart. Ben does the same thing with other shows. They do the same thing with him. It's like this back and forth thing. I'm not going to say whether that's positive or negative. It's pretty much at some points entertainment, which I think is actually not good on the political spectrum. However, I think it is good to talk about how damaging some of these figures can be. And Ben Shapiro, I think, is a leading figure in some of these cultural like rifts that come up that never really existed before. Trying to come up with a reason saying that like, oh yeah, Disney's trying to like turn you gay or something like that. Like, ridiculous points. Like just shit that like, avoids talking about the actual issues that are happening in society. There's people that don't have health care. There's people who don't get paid enough to survive. There's people who they want education. They want so many different things. And he decides to do exactly what the conservatives do all the time.
Okay, but why? I mean, he's just a public figure with an opposing political view that is influential, and you don't like him. I mean,
well,
what's the problem?
I view him to be a theocratical fascist. The one thing that he does not want to be viewed as. I think he is exactly that. And I know exactly why he says he's not one. That he doesn't want to be viewed as one. I know why, because that's exactly what his ideology leads to at the core of it. State-enforced pregnancies is basically his bottom line. People can't get abortions. The state steps in and says, you have to keep that baby. You have to keep it. That is the state. And that's exactly the most ironic and infuriating thing about his ideology is that he claims, no, I don't want the state touching my life, right? I don't want it stepping in and telling me what I can and can't do. I don't want it regulating the economy. And then he goes and says, no, but I want the state to come after you and tell you to keep the kid. You have to keep it. Have that kid. And basically, I mean, it's crazy to me. And then to say like, like I want the state to tell you who you can't get married to. Like you must marry a woman because according to Ben, even like he tries to hide it behind, like he doesn't do it from like a religious point of view because he can't. So he basically goes, okay, scientifically, a man and a woman have kids. And that's the one function of sex is to have kids. So therefore, the only purpose of marriage is to have kids. And that's just his view. And I think it's extremely damaging because it gives people a reason to, like other than personal religious reasons, which is fine. I would never like tell somebody they have to do something or have to like, do something that's against their religion, right? But he's giving people a reason to be that conservative and trying to make up scientific reasons that don't exist, that haven't even been proven. There's no proof for them, except he's just trying to come up with these reasons for someone to say, no, I don't want to support abortion for whatever reason.
But again, it's just, that's the political view of conservatives generally, right? Is Stay
Some
the
of them.
fuck away from me, government, and traditional values, including gay marriage and stuff. Like, isn't that the platform that presidents run on? Like,
I
does
mean,
Trump run on legalizing gay marriage, or does any of these people, do they?
no, and Trump does like he had like a stunt where he tried to say like, oh, the gays love Trump, and tried to do like a thing because he's trying to get their trying to get their vote. But
Yeah, he
I
wasn't a
think
good example. Any conservative person running for office, though, like you're saying Ben Shapiro is shitty, and he is incredibly intelligent, and he has clear arguments. And you're just saying these conservative values I don't like. And here's a guy who's really influencing a lot of people based on those values. So ultimately, you're having a problem with the ideology. And this guy's he's just a what I want to call him. He's a he's just filling his role. That there's a void for somebody to be an influential figure in politics, and he is that figure.
well, there's
It's a
plenty like
systematic problem.
there's plenty of people like share his view, and like there's plenty of like other like conservative like uh religious type shows. His is much more, I think, political, but it of course involves his own religious ideology. I just think the thing that bothers me is like there's multiple different types of conservatism. There's like the political compass doesn't even necessarily always like give us enough insight into like where someone is on that chart. I've taken the test, and like it's strange because sometimes you'll end up like somewhere where you're like, that's really odd. Like I didn't expect to be there. Not to mention that like there's issues from different sides that people can agree with. But I think the thing about Ben Shapiro is that it's a certain strain of conservatism that involves like this hypocrisy. And I would say that's even one of the most infuriating things about it is like the fact that they hide that behind that hypocrisy, and they won't acknowledge it. They won't acknowledge that their ideology is supposed to revolve around like the state not getting involved in their life, which makes sense. Okay, that's very like libertarian, like what that commenter said. I think I'm like a libertarian-esque type person. It's like, okay, if you were libertarian, you'd want to allow gay marriage, you'd want to allow abortion. But no, there's this strange mix of like evangelical beliefs that are the party kind of had to, rectify with when they found out they had them. And so now you have people like Ben Shapiro and all these different people basically introducing that into their politics, so that they can create a wedge issue, because they also know that a lot of people agree on many things. And again, it's a way to just like take something, stick a wedge in there, and try to find a reason to divide people on something else.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just a person, dude. That's they're just playing the game. It's successful. They can influence other people. They have beliefs about how politics should be run because the way they want it to influence their lives.
But I don't think Ben even cares. He doesn't even care. I know for a fact. I mean, that guy, like, he takes money from anybody who will give it to him, with a conservative leaning, of course. I doubt he'd take, money that wouldn't fit his narrative. But again, he admits that global warming is a problem, but he says like we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about it. And then you look and guess who's giving him money?
Okay, but dude, see, they're gonna have the same comments on this one. You're doing so broad. It's so broad. So if you
Wait, but
want to
how
talk,
is that
if you
broad?
want to talk,
I'm curious. Like I like he definitely like. All I'm saying is that he's very wishy-washy on
yeah,
all of his issues.
the reason it's broad is because you're saying comments like all of his issues and saying generally things he does. If you want to really go after him, you really have to say he did this specific thing on this specific issue. He believes this. Here's a video of him saying it. And now let me comment it directly.
I did mention that. I mentioned his views on a gay marriage and abortion. Like his views lead to like state intervention on these specific topics indirectly by not allowing somebody to live life the way that they want to. And basically the state saying, we will ban abortions. And if you try to get an abortion, we're going to make that illegal. By saying that and having that be a focal point of his ideology or not ideology, but his specific views on this issue. By doing that, he's basically saying it's state enforced pregnancies. And he claims to say that like, oh, well, I disagree with abortions. It's like, well, guess what? If abortions are legalized, it's not forcing you to have an abortion, Ben. No one's going to break into your house and drag your wife off to the clinic. It's just saying that people can have them. But that's the most ironic thing about him, is that he makes it out to be like they're going to, the secret abortion police are going to break down your door in the middle of the night, come into your bedroom and tell you what to do. He's like, no.
He knows how easy it is to manipulate people, and that more people will get abortions if it's legal, and he doesn't want that to happen. And then he paints a picture, dude. So, I mean,
he doesn't, it's like
I recommend
you're
finding
happy,
clips.
I'm not happy.
I recommend finding clips and then playing them and commenting on them directly.
Okay, I will. I mean, for anyone who'd be listening, like, again, that guy in the comment, it's like he says he's done his research. It's like, then you know who Ben Shapiro is. Like, you don't have to listen to me tell you who he is. You've probably seen those clips. If you watch any video that he has on what he thinks about abortion, you'll get that exact sentiment. That's exactly what he says. He doesn't want it to be legal for those exact reasons. But the irony behind it, the pure irony that he somehow thinks that like it's government intervention, that it qualifies as like the classic conservative trope of, it's the government coming and getting involved in things that they shouldn't be getting involved in. It's just ridiculous. Same with gay marriage. It's such a hypocrisy, you know? It's like, why not let people? Why are you telling other people what they can and can't do? And not to mention the fact that he himself, like, he claims to be like an individualist, right? Like, he believes in like, he only talks about community. And this is a recent video that he did actually, when he was talking about gay marriage. And the funniest thing is that he says, it's about community, a husband and a wife, a family. Our society is built upon family, collectivism. He will never say that about the economy, ever. Never. He will die till his core to say that, it's all about the individual. You have to survive. You know what I mean? It's all about you. It's not about community. It's these two ideologies that he just has to grapple with. He's trying to do one thing and do another thing at the same time. He doesn't really know how to handle it. It's the hypocrisy that kills me. That's what really gets me with Ben. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you, if you have this passion about this and you find specific examples where he's contradicting himself and you show evidence of it, we're going to get more than 100 views on these videos.
Yeah, we should bring up videos and maybe next time I'll prepare something. But what I'm saying, this guy in the comments, the most ironic thing is that if he watches Ben Shapiro, he should know these things. Like, this isn't something that's hidden. This is just what Ben thinks.
I don't know what the guy in the comments is saying, dude. I don't know if we can. He said, I thought abortion should be the mother's choice. Then I listened to Ben Shapiro. And now I think we should extract babies in the second and third trimester and put them on life support.
What's the funniest thing is that I don't even know what Ben would say to that. I haven't heard that take. I didn't know that Ben was handing out this advice, but
I don't know if he
I guess he's just evolved to the next stage.
I mean, protect life at all costs.
That's another thing too. It's like there's a philosopher that even mentioned the exact same hypocrisy of, let's say that someone took Ben Shapiro. And this is an example based off of that example, but basically the thing is like, let's say Ben Shapiro finishes a show. You know what? There was a YouTuber that did it was just a satirical bit about this. It was Philosophy Tube. But basically, Ben Shapiro, if he got hooked up to somebody who was dying of kidney failure, right? And let's say there was a doctor and said, like, we're going to hold you here for like a few hours. You're keeping this person alive. We can't disconnect you from the machine. You're keeping him alive. And the person says, I want to go home. And then it's like, no, you can't. And then they say, well, now we're going to have to hold you here for like the next few months. and you're just gonna have to stay here and keep this person alive, hooked up to him. It may be uncomfortable. You're bleeding, and you're just feeding this person blood through a tube. You have to stay there. Like the funny thing is that it's like, isn't it your body? It's your right to choose. This person may be dying from kidney failure, but does that mean they have to like lock you in a box and keep you there feeding blood? It's not the best example. Just like explained again, you'd have to like get in depth in it. I don't know how much time we have left, but again, my main issue is the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy behind every single piece of like a culture war substance that he puts forward. The hypocrisy behind it, that's really what gets me. And again, it's his stance on gay marriage, it's his stance on abortion, it's his stance on he's done segments on many other things, and again, I don't want to even talk about them because I've gone again 2 points. I'll just leave it there, more focused. But you understand, like, even without videos, right? Have I been able to somewhat like explain like his views on those 2 points and why I disagree with them?
Yeah, I think that in summary, you laid it out. I think what's going to be the most powerful is with the more poignant terminology and confidence of his clips. If you're working in direct opposition to that, as opposed to your own possibly biased description of his arguments, then it's going to be a lot more obvious that he's being hypocritical.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
And I don't think you're wrong. I think
the
you're
outsiders, the
doing
funny
better,
thing,
but I'm
though.
just telling you.
The funniest thing though is that, like, again, I can't believe that guy, like, his complaint wasn't even that I didn't like show receipts or that I didn't show like a video of Ben Shapiro to prove what I was saying, right? To prove my main 3 points. One of them was that he was a grifter. Another one was his I think his ideology based. I disagree with him. And the third one was I can't remember all 3, but I made 3 points and he didn't mention any of them, which I found strange. Like, if he wants to like debate me over like my dislike of Ben Shapiro or my dislike of Tim Pool, why not bring up something that's about that? He brought up abortion, but it seems like we agree to some extent, like, right? Like pro-choice. So he seems to be on the same page. And then he mentions just like cease cutting open women if they want the baby out, like which isn't an abortion, and then keeping them alive. That's just like an early pregnancy. So I'm trying to understand where he's coming from, because like,
Yeah.
he obviously disagreed with the my view on free speech, right? He obviously thought that the Alex Jones trial wasn't fair,
Mm-hmm.
and that he shouldn't have paid the money. I think he should have, because I think he's an idiot.
Okay,
he's
yeah.
an
So
idiot
I
regardless.
think that
the whole entire like
he had the opportunity to think for a couple more hours before posting the post about Alex Jones and the free speech. So I think you can't put too much weight on this, that he made these comments, because obviously they weren't clearly thought out and he didn't write second drafts or put any timestamps to specifics. So I don't know, man. I mean,
I want to know.
you can't take anything away from that. Hey, Aaron, if you want to reach out and you like, maybe we want to have a conversation about this, this would be great.
Okay. If you
Comment,
want to come on the show,
comment that back.
come on. Yeah, come on live. Let's have a conversation. A good. I know that I've made a lot of jokes. I know, like, it's all like I'm not attacking you personally. I want to make that clear. I thought it was, some of the things were funny, and I'm sure you meant something different. Again, me on the last episode, look at me. I didn't explain my points well. So it was a fitting comment for a fitting video. Just like I said before, but come on, and we'll talk. We need more. We need audience interaction.
Yeah. So actually, that he probably won't go this far in the video,
No.
but if it's all about him, I mean, he gave us a lot of attention. But just comment directly on his comments, and I'm sure that'll get a response.
I do appreciate I do appreciate the like some kind of like, you know what I mean? Like interaction, you know? It's yeah.
Yeah, do it. We got 7 or 8 minutes here left. While we're on politics, I mean, we talked about last week maybe doing some current events. This is a few days late now, but the Brittany Griner trade. Um, Here's my take on it. Let me just say in summary, Russian's arms dealer selling weapons. He's hanging out in Africa. He's selling weapons to people intending to kill people in the United States. We extradite him to the US, give him 25 years in prison. He served 10 to 12 years of that. And then we traded him for the second leading scorer of the WNBA, one of the only women in the WNBA that dunks. Not that that's relevant, but she had a vape pen in her bag when she traveled to Russia, and she got arrested and spent 8 months in prison, and she was sentenced to 9 years. Okay, she was in a pretty fucked up prison too. I think she was a star, and the Russians knew to fuck with us or something. I don't know, but anyway, she broke the law in Russia. Okay, did she not break the law?
Yeah, however, they did and this was probably to make a point, but they did give her like a harsher sentence and treatment, probably to make a point. Again, I'm assuming they wanted her as a political prisoner. That probably was the goal. She'd taken weed into Russia apparently before, cartridges there before. Not that that's smart, but I think the offense was so harsh because natural born Russian citizens don't even get that harsh treatment for marijuana possession. It is illegal in Russia, just to be clear. But I think the treatment was especially harsh, and it became political here so fast when she was over there because she was involved in she was a known to be I can't remember what there was something again. Shoot, what movement was she a part of?
We can look it up.
Yeah, because she was an advocate for. I don't want to get the name wrong is the thing, because there's a few that I think it was, but I want to make sure that I don't get that incorrect.
I don't know, man. Basically, I mean, I didn't get through all my point, but the whole thing was she broke the law in Russia. She's famous in the US. But I mean, I don't get why our government's getting involved with somebody who is abroad and broke the law.
Yeah, see, I think that as a U.S. citizen who's given extremely like harsh treatment in another country as a political prisoner, I don't know. I think the goal of and there's a number of things. So this is a very complicated issue because the hypocrisy from like even like the US government. The CIA is basically an arms dealer of its own. They do exactly what this Russian guy did. It's just playing another side and selling weapons to people that they want to sell weapons to. And sometimes it's people that actually like this the CIA claims to view as like somebody who's an enemy of the state, but those weapons end up in their hands anyways because they're not being vigilant. And exactly what happened too when the USSR was fighting in Afghanistan, the US was selling weapons to the local militias, and then those local militias ended up turning around to being a problem for them, ironically. But even that aside, that like there's hypocrisy on the US government side. This was not a good dude. The Russian guy, arms dealer, was not good. Not a good guy either. I don't support what the US does with how it exports weapons and its dealings with the arms trade. There's even like the movie War Dogs that shows like they weren't vigilant at all when they were buying weapons for the Middle East, the war in the Middle East, Afghanistan. They basically they just had contractors, and they it was so shitty. If they could turn a blind eye, they would. These guys only got caught because they forgot to pay the box guy. They were trying to take Chinese ammunition and rebox it, and because they didn't pay the guy that was responsible, his company was responsible for boxing up this ammunition and repackaging it. They didn't pay him, and so he contacted the U.S. authorities, and that's what made them go in and have to take action with these guys. Only gave him like 4 years anyways, and the other guy was only on house arrest. So they treat people very differently depending on who they are, and that I do dislike that.
I get it, but I mean, you opened the can of worms on this whole case, but I mean, the whole thing that I brought up was this person broke the law in a different country. There's different rules, and now we're getting involved.
I think because it's such like again, it's treatment that would be unexpected by somebody even if they did get caught.
Okay, but
and it's somebody who might not even known, again, like that the law was being broke in that
who
country.
cares?
Like,
Who cares? It's the law in the country. I mean, ultimately, it's the law in the country. Just like you're saying that the Democrats are do nothing, but they're making this trade to get this person out because their approval is going down just because people are tweeting about, free this person. I mean, I think this is just ridiculous.
I will say this, like,
I think
sure,
that's just
I think
insane that
there's
they would have a person break a law in another country. And now all of a sudden, somebody who's trying to kill US citizens, that person now is going back into the market, 15 years before they should.
I think that like I haven't heard about the I've heard about his operations in Africa. I haven't heard about like the killing US citizens thing.
He was selling weapons to people who intended to use those on people in the United States.
Wait, I'm assuming the troops and because I heard about that, it was definitely like troops that are stationed in the Middle East, right? Is that
Maybe you know more about it than I do.
I don't actually know, because it could be people in the United States. I know that he was selling to groups that the United States viewed as enemies, because he was in Africa, and it was also he was involved in the Middle East at one point as well.
I don't know. It just doesn't. I mean, why are we getting involved in this thing? This person broke the law.
See, I don't know. I have mixed opinions, because I think that
Got 1 minute left.
1 minute. Oh shoot. See, I'd have to look into more into. I only know about his gun running charges and his arms dealer charges. But I don't feel right leaving a U.S. citizen in a country where they are going to be treated poorly because they are a political prisoner, and because they were basically taken for that purpose of being used that way. They also wanted to get out. Another option is they wanted to take out a CIA agent that was carrying multiple passports, giant bag of cash, technically broke the law in Russia, right? Wanted to take him back into a prisoner swap. So that hypocrisy is kind of on the table too. Oh, we still got some time. Okay.
Yeah, it was all military. It wasn't, people on the mainland, but it's I mean, you broke the fucking law, and now the people are tweeting that they want this person home, and then now you just did it.
I don't know. I think that like the cause is to get somebody who did something less bad out of a country that they shouldn't be held in, that was specifically held there and put in worse conditions as a form of like political action to get the US to notice. I mean, Russia obviously knew how people were going to react. And so they wanted to, you know, make her situation as dire as possible to try to set her
Okay,
up.
so
as
if you
a
guys want to hear
pawn.
more about this,